Hi, everybody. Welcome to another fun-filled episode of our Emerging Technologies webinar series. As we talk about things that are happening in our industry, we're always, we all have kind of the areas that we focus on, and we do that really well. And the purpose of this series is really to show us what is just outside of that comfort zone, right? And things that may not be as mainstream to you, but are things that are big and they're exciting, and they do actually have a big impact on what we do within our traditional jobs. And so we're doing this with our solution architects within the ASI team. And so today we've got Russell Singer, and Russ is one of our senior solution architects and also serves as a business development manager when it comes to things like ServiceNow. And so when we look at a lot of the things that are happening in the industry, we can kind of summarize the big buzzword is digital transformation. And what I find is a lot of people, they struggle with understanding what that is because they don't know how it relates to them. And so we've been doing a lot of these sessions focused on digital transformation, but in very tangible ways, things that we can really understand. And service management is certainly one of those, where you think of the old school help desk tickets, right? And just ticketing in general. That's old school. It's kind of the way it used to be a long ago. But that has seen an incredible transformation to more of a workflow approach. And as soon as you start thinking of it like that, the sky's the limit as to what you can do with that kind of a platform. Just like we do in the world of contact center, as soon as you can get past thinking about everything as a phone call, and really embrace it as intelligent routing, and can handle any kind of channel, not even communication-oriented channels, but like how Andrew Prokop talked about last week with IoT. There's incredible things that we can do with that. So Russell comes to us, actually, he's been around this industry for a very, very long time. We hired him from AVAYA, where he actually, one of his last jobs there was to run AVAYA's deployment of AVAYA technology within AVAYA. So the program was on AVAYA, and so he was the real life guy, kind of the IT department that actually had to deploy the products in the portfolio internally to the employees. And so he has a very interesting and useful perspective on the real life side of a lot of these kind of technologies. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Russell. Russ, thank you for joining us today, and please take it away.
All right, thanks, Dave. A pleasure to be here and presenting for everybody today on talking about digital transformation in the service management space. So a lot of people think about service management as just a ticketing system. And specifically, if we're in the IT organization, we think about it as being our IT ticketing system. But it can be really so much more than that. And so we're going to talk a little bit today about how ASI can help you exploit the power of ServiceNow and bring digital transformation to service management across your enterprise. And we'll talk a little bit about the platform itself, the capabilities that it brings to the table, and then we'll go through some demos, some more specifics on customer service, whether that be internal customers or external, and then also look at some of the ASI specific plugins, add-ons, and extensions that you can implement on the ServiceNow platform that will help you optimize some of the functions. So the first thing we want to just briefly talk about here is the major trends that affect the enterprise. And probably the biggest one today is digital transformation, which is what Dave was talking about. So a lot of companies today are trying to move towards digital transformation without really understanding everything that's involved in doing that. Digital transformation is so much more than just multi-channel capabilities and bringing different channels to your users so that they can open tickets via text, message, or email and things like that. It's really about transforming their experience and orchestrating a holistic customer experience. And that's something that the ServiceNow platform excels at. So we'll take a look at what that means. Beyond just the customer experience, though, digital transformation also includes artificial intelligence, the Internet of Things, allowing devices to communicate with each other, and automating services that before required a lot of manual processes. So we'll go through how ServiceNow enables digital transformation across the enterprise, as well as helping you to manage service delivery demands and shared services across the business. So thinking about the challenges that we face today, especially if you're in an IT organization, one of the biggest is, of course, cost of services. So today it's difficult to manage cost in terms of people as well as applications. And a lot of times what we find is that enterprises have many different silos of applications. And sometimes it's the same application and multiple instances of that for each line of business, which becomes very costly to maintain, of course. And it also slows down development, the ability to innovate. The other big gap we find a lot of times is having visibility, both real-time and historical visibility into what's going on in the business, whether or not SLAs are being met. And so that's another big challenge that we see. And then, of course, aligning business requirements with the cost of implementing new features and functionality, making sure that we're working on what's important to the business or the line of business at any given time. And that's always changing, so it's a very difficult challenge to meet. And then we talked a little bit about the end user experience. The end user experience is really about creating a customer journey, a holistic journey. In modern days, what we think of is an omni-channel customer experience, right? Which is where not only can I go from a text message to an email to a voice call and working on an issue or submitting an issue, but there's also connections in the back end between those services that really allow us to drive a holistic experience. And then, of course, speed to innovation. Today, due to complexity in many environments, we find that companies tend to stick with the legacy tools they have in place because they're afraid to move off of that onto a new platform that they have to train people on. They have to worry about ensuring that the right business processes are in place to support that. So it's a difficult thing to move forward quickly in terms of innovation. So here's what I like to call the Bermuda Triangle, where innovation goes to die, typically. In any IT organization, even most lines of business, the concerns are always trying to reduce costs, save money, reduce risk, and at the same time increasing revenue and profits. So a lot of times what happens is innovation, the ability to innovate, is stifled because of those three elements that are so important to the operational structure of a business. ServiceNow helps to solve for a lot of those because it's a very agile platform and it allows us to build new applications, new processes in a very simple and easy way. So we'll take a look at what that means. So here's a good overview of what we find today in many cases, many enterprises. You find that work is done in silos. So across lines of business in the enterprise, you have separate business processes, separate databases, separate tools in each line of business. And then whenever one line of business wants to communicate with another, it's either done through email, spreadsheets, and or meetings. Well, it's almost like you're operating separate businesses when that happens, and it's not very efficient, obviously. Things get lost. And the worst part about that is it's difficult to prioritize work between lines of business when you use those types of communication methods. Not to say that they're not useful, but they're not the most efficient means of communicating between lines of business and creating workflows really between lines of business that are efficient. So how does the ServiceNow platform help you? Well, the ServiceNow platform allows you to eliminate manual processes, and especially in the case where those processes span multiple lines of business. It also eliminates legacy user experiences It allows you to consolidate tools onto a single platform across lines of business. And that will help you accelerate application development. So if you need to enhance an existing process and or application, the ServiceNow platform allows you to do that very quickly. And we'll find out why that is here in a few minutes. The other benefit to the ServiceNow platform is allowing you to reuse workflows, applications, even data across lines of business. So rather than having to send a spreadsheet to 5 different people in 5 different departments and having them consume that data in different ways, we can centralize the data into a single database and allow these different lines of business to manage and use that data differently. And then the last one is, of course, consolidating the infrastructure, consolidating legacy tools, legacy applications into a single platform. So how do we accomplish that with ServiceNow? This is a good overview of what the ServiceNow platform offers. First of all and foremost is actually at the bottom of the screen. ServiceNow is a cloud-based platform. So that means you get all the benefits of elasticity, scalability, high reliability, as well as maintenance and upgrades as part of that cloud platform. So you no longer have to manage the infrastructure associated with your ITSM, your service management platform. That's all done for you. The next layer up there is the different components that compose the ServiceNow platform. And these components can be reused across all lines of business. It's not just IT, it's not just security, but even extending out to HR, to customer service, and as you'll see later in some of the use cases we'll look at, even just facilities management and other capabilities that you may not have thought of. So some of the capabilities that are key here, one being a self-service portal. ServiceNow enables an automated self-service portal for users to go and request services, open tickets, and that's very beneficial because that's eliminating or at least deflecting calls into a contact center, into a help desk, whatever it might be. The other component that can be reused across lines of business is subscriptions and notifications. So as a user, I can subscribe to notifications for a service and be notified when that service is down, if there's a problem with it, and so on. A knowledge base also is available in ServiceNow. So if I am just a user looking for information about how to set up my VPN client, I can go to the self-service portal, ask that question, and be redirected to the knowledge base, which gives me access to the information on how to do that. There's the service catalog, which ties also into the workflow engine. So instead of manually creating business processes, documenting them in a Word doc or a spreadsheet, publishing them out to all of your users, the business processes are actually now defined on the back end as something that's hidden from the user. And so all they worry about is going to the self-service catalog, requesting a service, and the workflow behind the scenes takes care of the business process involved in requesting that service. There are also great reports and dashboards that you have access to as part of the ServiceNow platform. It gives you both real-time and historical visibility into just about everything on the platform. And those are personalizable. So each individual user and or administrator can have their own dashboard, build their own reports based on the data that's in the system. The next component there is the single database. And this is really the key across lines of business to enable a single database, a single asset database. If you think about what that means for a moment, an asset may be a server, it may be an application, right? And those apply to more of the IT department, but an asset could also be a telephone number, it could be an office space, it could be an employee. And so when you start thinking about running your business in terms of assets and managing those assets, then it really opens up the power of the platform to you and to all of the different divisions that could leverage these different components to create holistic experiences for users internally and externally. And then there's this intelligent automation engine, which just became available in the last 2 or 3 releases of ServiceNow. So this is where we're driving more digital transformation into the business. Things like the ability to automatically detect problems in a service and proactively, not just notify people, but proactively fix the problem as well. And we have a demo of what that looks like a little bit later. There's also predictive forecasting. So there's a lot of AI capabilities that are now available in this platform to enable that digital transformation. So these slides just help us break down these capabilities a little bit further to understand the 3 core components of ServiceNow and as a platform and what that enables you to do. First of all, we have the service management components, which include things like the ability to manage changes, problems, incidents, assets, as well as facilities, employees through HR, all the way through to legal and field resources as well. So that's the service management capability set of ServiceNow. But then there's also a set of components used for business management. And those components allow you to get visibility into, for example, new requests from users for applications or enhancements to applications. You can manage that demand through the ServiceNow platform. It also gives you visibility into a very big problem that we see very commonly, and that is that typically when a project is being run in an IT organization, you have the same resources that are managing the operations, the day-to-day operations of the environment, engaged in the projects and responsible for delivering enhancements and new features. The problem that causes is their priority is always going to be operations. So through the ServiceNow platform, you're able to gain visibility into those resources and their utilization, whether they be for operations or projects. And that gives you more flexibility in terms of road mapping out new projects and new features. Then, of course, you have the operations management component, and ASI actually has some plugins to this module, to these modules that allow automated discovery of servers, communications equipment, as well as network equipment in the environment. And those are automatically ported into the asset database, and relationships between them automatically built as well. So a lot of power in this platform. Now, the one thing that ties all of this together is the workflow engine. And this allows you to orchestrate business processes either within a line of business or across lines of business. And it's a very easy to use drag and drop interface. This allows you to automatically or automate some self-service requests. For example, password resets, requesting a new PC, requesting an application be installed. All of that can be automated through workflows. And this is a very easy to use visual drag and drop tool to accomplish that. The other great part about ServiceNow as a platform is you can delegate the development capabilities of the platform by lines of business and actually segregate your developers so that you can have developers that are only allowed to manage, for example, workflows and extensions related to your finance group, or your facilities group, or your HR group, right? That allows you to have a more finite control over the workflows for that group of users, as well as the data related to those workflows. This is a powerful capability because sometimes an enterprise will not want the same developers who are managing the IT environment to be able to define workflows or manipulate workflows related to HR, for example. And so that's what we find useful, very useful. The other great part about ServiceNow as a platform is it gives you the ability to onboard new developers quickly. So it uses standard Java for back-end extensions, and it also uses JavaScript for any front-end customizations that you'd like to do. So JavaScript and HTML5 are what the front end runs. This allows you to onboard new users or new developers very quickly and extend the platform easily. So beyond just creating the workflows, you can actually create plugins to the platform for different functions. And just an example of that, we at ASI have created a plugin, as I mentioned earlier, that goes out and discovers everything in a communications environment and pulls that in as assets to the ServiceNow platform, automatically building relationships between those devices. So that's just one example of development extending the platform. The next capability that you gain with ServiceNow that's very key is the ability to customize dashboards. And again, this is something that each individual user can do and or administrator of the system. So you have real-time visibility into what's happening in addition to a historical view. And there's the ability to drill down as well into each of these widgets that you can define on your own personal dashboard. One other key here that I just wanted to highlight, because this is an important element of ServiceNow. ServiceNow, because it's such an extensive platform and allows you to reuse components across the lines of business, some customers are a little bit timid about doing that because they don't want their data shared across lines of business. For example, you don't want to have the IT department necessarily to have visibility into your HR employee records. And that's okay. That's understandable. So what ServiceNow allows you to do is segregate data by domains. You can leverage the same instance of ServiceNow and run different domains within that instance that are completely segregated in terms of their data and their processes and workflows from other domains. There is a global domain when you do this that is visible to everyone, to all of the child domains. So you would define some very general workflows, some very general data in that domain, and then more finite data in some of the subdomains. So what this means is users in your HR group, for example, your HR domain, do not have access to view data in your IT domain and vice versa. This becomes very important too when customers, through acquisition, typically onboard new companies. It allows you to keep the data segregated for as long as you need to while that acquisition is in process. So just an example of the power of ServiceNow as a platform is this use case from CERN. So CERN is the European Organization for Nuclear Research. It's the world's largest particle physics center. And it's home, if you're familiar with it, it's home of the Large Hadron Collider. So what they had an issue with is they had so many different services that they would offer to their users who were scientists from all over the world. They were temporary workers in most cases who would come visit the center, the campus, and they would need services such as hotel rooms, access to the network, everything you can imagine, even medical services were part of what they would request. So these were all managed by different portals, different applications, different help desk groups. What CERN was able to do, though, is consolidate the management of all of those services into the ServiceNow platform and allow or create one single self-service portal where users could go to request this variety of services. So as you see there on the slide, they were able to consolidate more than 650 services into one portal and leveraging the power of ServiceNow on the back end, creating different workflows that would manage each of those requests. And this also allowed them to implement standard ITIL practices, ITIL practices across lines of business. So you can see the comment there from their group leader of services, and you notice that this spectrum of services that they're offering through ServiceNow and that portal is very, very broad. Even includes car leases, library access, and they do this not just with one portal, but one help desk. Extremely, extremely powerful capabilities offered by ServiceNow. And those capabilities speak to some of the results for the platform. You see examples here from one of the most interesting is from RBS, saving more than 46,000 hours man-hours per month by consolidating onto the ServiceNow platform. They were able to move from 13 different ITSM tools with multiple CMDBs or asset databases onto a single platform with 14,000 users. And of course, that saved them a lot of overhead, administrative overhead. And that also speaks to some of the real dollar values that are gained from moving to ServiceNow. So there was a study done by Forrester with 7 different customers who had moved to ServiceNow. And as a combined total, those 7 customers experienced $17 million of savings, 195% ROI within 9 months of implementing the platform. And you can see that breakdown here on the slide includes everything from increasing productivity, efficiency of agents, of help desk, as well as increased uptime on services, and automating a lot of the services that were manual processes before. And of course, ServiceNow being such a scalable, extensible platform, that's part of the reason it's in the leader quadrant in both the Magic Quadrant from Gartner as well as the IDC ITSM space, so the service management space. But what I'd like to do now is delve a little bit deeper into customer service, leveraging the ServiceNow platform, and how you can really transform your customer experience, whether that be internal customers, users that are supported by an IT help desk or other internal help desks, or whether that be external customers, such as business to business or business to consumer. This is an interesting study from Forrester. This was actually last year. In their study, they found that 80% of companies out there said they deliver superior customer service. Yet only 8% of their customers felt that those companies delivered excellent service. So something is broken, right? If only 8% of your customers say you deliver great service. A lot of that is due to manual processes, the customer having to be proactive about calling in about an outage rather than receiving notifications or the outage just being automatically fixed. So here's how ServiceNow solves that. It's their CSM module, Customer Service Management, enables omni-channel experiences for end users. So we make it easy for the customer to engage through any channel they'd like, whether it be email, SMS, voice, even web chat, social media. And then beyond that, we also offer them a self-service portal. So the customer can go to this portal, request a service, and the process behind making that service happen can all be automated. And then, of course, the third step there is being proactive, monitoring for issues, creating cases automatically, notifying the customer when there's a problem. We're working on it. We're going to get it fixed for you quickly. And then the fourth item there is being able to assign cases, incidents, and tasks across the enterprise. So this is really where the power of the ServiceNow platform comes into play here. Because if you think about it, what typically happens in a large enterprise is when a customer has an issue, they open a ticket, and that issue may not be something that the agent who receives that ticket can solve. So they may have to open another ticket with an engineering department or an R&D department, or even maybe a legal and or HR department. And that ticket in today's world is managed completely separate from the ticket that the customer called in on, which means updates are manual and typically through email or a phone call. However, with ServiceNow, because you're bridging the gap between those lines of business and everybody's on the same platform, now you can create a task that's assigned to the HR department or the engineering department. They're responsible and accountable for updating that task and automatically bringing that back and updating both the agent who owns the case and the customer who reported it. So very, very powerful capability. And then lastly, there's this fifth step, and that's getting to the root cause of issues that are raised. Automatically finding out what the root cause was or potential root causes, notifying everybody involved, making sure that the problem is fixed so that it doesn't come back, and then injecting that information into the knowledge base so that if there is something related to that in the future, a customer has access to the knowledge base and can get the answer without even having to call or open a case. So this is what that looks like from a detailed perspective on each of those steps. You have the omni-channel engagement. And again, omni-channel being different than multi-channel, omni-channel being the orchestration of all of those channels into a single customer journey. That's something that ServiceNow enables. It also allows you to do intelligent routing to make sure that you get cases to the right people who can resolve the issue. And that's done through attributes, very much like what we're seeing now in a lot of omni-channel solutions that are out there on the market. The second step there is, of course, the self-service capabilities. Again, a lot of that is supported by the workflow engine on the back end, being able to automate a lot of tasks that were previously manually done through ServiceNow, and integrate even with external systems like SALESFORCE or JIRA and other systems that are out there that allow you to automate even across platforms. And then, of course, monitoring for issues, creating cases automatically, being proactive again. Because everything's in this single asset database, there are relationships between services and applications and servers. And that allows you to automatically notify customers who will be affected by a specific outage on even just a single server, because those relationships are maintained in the asset database. And then here's a nice screenshot of this being able to assign tasks across lines of business, whether it be field services, legal, engineering. So the agent has that ability and that power to get the task to the right person and the right group who can solve the issue and hold them accountable for doing so. And then, of course, getting to the root cause, again, making sure that we're finding out what the problem is that the customer had, that it doesn't happen again if it can be prevented, and getting that knowledge back into the knowledge base so the next time if there is a related issue, the customer can easily find out the solution. So they're really related to some of these capabilities, as well as are a few other ancillary features that ServiceNow offers. One is this 360 view of a customer account. So you can actually see the maintenance cost, as well as the cost for supporting a customer, I should say, as well as the amount that the customer is being charged for those services. And you get a comparison of how much it's costing versus the revenue related to a customer. There's also an integrated field services module. So in a moment here, we'll look at a demo of what that means. But in ServiceNow, you can automatically create workflows that even dispatch field technicians to resolve a customer issue. And the agent has the ability to look at the dispatch schedule for any given field service resource, as well as to create a dispatch event for a resource related to a customer issue or a service issue. There's also embedded the ability to create invoices, to have the customer sign for those invoices. And again, when we say customer, this can be internal users or external. It really makes no difference in terms of the ServiceNow platform. And then being able to have this dashboard view to look at what's going on in terms of overall case volume, SLAs, and immediately address issues when there are problems that come up with certain products and or services, having that real-time visibility. Something else that's offered by ServiceNow is the ability to integrate with chatbots. So they do offer the ability to integrate with IBM Watson, as well as some of the cognitive services from Microsoft chatbots. It's all done through web services, very easy to integrate. And besides just automating some of the chat capabilities in ServiceNow, it also enables you to do anonymous chat. So a customer doesn't even have to be registered if you don't want them to be in order to chat with an agent and or receive information from a chatbot. And here's just a quick view of the attribute selection I was mentioning earlier, intelligent case routing. So every case has a set of attributes associated with it, and those attributes are matched to the best selection, the agent who would be working that case. And depending on their availability, depending on their skill set, the best agent who can manage that case would be automatically selected. And finally here, for the leaders of the service management business in the enterprise, whether that be the CIO or the VP of customer service, there's a great dashboard view that allows you to see the overall cost of services and even drill down into your top 10 or 20 accounts versus the amount of revenue you're receiving from those customers and or services. This is a level of visibility you really don't get in any other platform. And it's because we're tying all of that data, both from financials as well as services, into the same platform that gives you access to this data easily. This is incredibly powerful because having this real-time view allows you to make business decisions as well as identify trends within your customer base that you may need to address quickly. And then the beauty of ServiceNow is also its capability to integrate with external platforms. So here you see that there are a couple of examples: integration with SALESFORCE for CRM, sales-related data, and then integration with JIRA as well for more of the development R&D side of integrating service management. And what this integration allows you to do is synchronize, for example, tasks or incidents between these systems. You can synchronize financial data from Salesforce back into the ServiceNow platform and vice versa. So it's a very, very powerful set of integration tools that are available to you. And then there is social media integration as well. So that can be one of the channels that your customer uses to engage with you, and allows you to track for trends, or I should say, look for trends in social media that you can quickly respond to if needed. We all know how social media can get out of control quickly. So it's very important to be able to identify trends and respond to them immediately. So you may be wondering how ServiceNow can integrate with your contact center. ServiceNow doesn't really have a voice channel, though there is one available through Twilio. It's not a very robust voice channel. So typically what you'll find is in most environments, you want to integrate ServiceNow with an existing contact center platform. And whether that be for your help desk or your external customer support, it really doesn't matter. It's the same form of integration. And what this requires is what's known as a CTI mediation server. The CTI mediation server is what allows communication between the CTI front end of ServiceNow and the CTI server that's in your contact center. And so in this case, what I show here is an AVAYA Elite contact center integrating with ServiceNow through this mediation server via AES. There are a few companies out there who offer CTI mediation services. Some of them are cloud-based, others can be deployed on-prem. So it's really up to you and in your environment what would work best for you. But there are quite a few options available to you. And what this allows you to do is not just screen pop ServiceNow cases or accounts for customers, but also embed a soft phone within ServiceNow. So you can use the ServiceNow environment as a single pane of glass for your agents. And that can also be very powerful. That includes click-to-call as well. And by the way, that soft phone skin can be customized. It can be white labeled, and also if you want to add additional features to it, you can do that. The other method of integration, though, from ServiceNow to your communications environment is more for the back-end services and support. And what this allows you to do is integrate with a communications platform and leverage ServiceNow to build a workflow that instantiates a communications-related workflow. Give you a quick example of what that might look like. So in the AVAYA world, there's a product known as Breeze. That's a middleware platform that is communications enabled. So in Breeze, you can define communications workflows. For example, calling a user, adding them to a conference bridge. That could be a workflow that you define in Breeze. On the other side of that, in ServiceNow, you may have a workflow that indicates what to do if there's a major incident, right? Some major service or application went down. Now I need to get everyone involved with that application, supporting that application, onto a conference bridge. So in ServiceNow, what I can do is call a Breeze workflow that automatically bridges all of those users together onto a single bridge. Dynamically forms that support team, and that's a beautiful and incredibly powerful capability, the ability to integrate those two workflows together. So another example of that too would be sending an SMS text out to all of the senior management related to a service and a product, letting them know that there's an outage. And that can all be accomplished through Breeze, but started from a workflow that is defined in ServiceNow. All right, so let's take a look at a couple of demos here. We've talked a lot about the platform, but it's nice to see it in action. So we'll look at a couple of demos that will show us exactly what this means. The first one here we're going to look at is how you can modernize IT service management through the ServiceNow platform. Remember, we talked a lot about the self-service portal and how you can deflect calls from even coming into the help desk by creating workflows that automate a lot of repetitive tasks. So here I have my personalized IT experience, my Lightspeed portal, and I'm going to go ahead and sign in with my login. Now, in this case, once Margot is signed in, she is automatically scanned. Her laptop is automatically scanned. All the applications running there. Her calendar is scanned for all of the meetings that are coming up, any travel schedules she has related to that. And then she's given the option to enter her self-service portal. This is completely customized, in this case, for Margot. So what does that portal look like? In this case, it's recommending certain actions to her based on her needs and her currently installed applications. It's offering her the option to install Office 2016, for example, extend the lease on a virtual machine, elevate privileges for a reporting system that's available to her. So she can choose to do any of these. For example, I can click here to install Office. She can click there, I should say. Once she does that, it automatically installs Office on her PC. If you notice down at the bottom here, the ServiceNow platform has scanned her calendar, and it knows that she has a cell phone because that's an asset that's tracked in the asset database. So it's offering her the option to automatically enable international roaming for her trip to London on February 1st through the 4th. So she can accept that change, she can cancel it, not do it again. All of those options are available to her. So just a quick example of what it looks like in the self-service portal and some of the capabilities available. There's also the ability to report a problem here, open an incident, to manage the applications that she has installed as well. So let's go ahead and look at the next demo here. And for all the IT service managers out there, whether you need telecom or not, doesn't really matter. This is an incredibly powerful capability offered by the ServiceNow platform. And it's the ability to not just be notified when there is an outage, but to be able to manage that outage from your mobile device or your PC, wherever you happen to be at the time. So in this case, I've been notified that within 30 minutes, there's a high probability of a service outage in my environment. So if I click that notification, it's going to take me to a portal where I can manage the incident related to that notification. And here it's telling me that there's an abnormally high response time related to my retail POS. And so if I look down a little bit further, I can see what the impact is of that outage, or what it will be, in fact, if it goes down. I can see the number of users that will be impacted, the amount of money that's going to cost, and of course the services related to it. So again, it's very important to understand the reason we get to see all of this information is because ServiceNow is tracking it, right? We're on a single platform here that's tracking both the assets as well as the cost related to those assets. This same portal has also shown me that ServiceNow has identified potential root causes. It's identified the server involved and then the memory leak, as well as a change record, if you notice here on the right, that was related to this server and the memory leak. So now I know, in fact, I can pull this down here. Now I know what's happened and why it's happened and the impact that it will have. So now the best part about this is not only does it tell me what's going on, but I can also fix it from here. It's recommended to me either a rollback, which it has a 98% confidence that it will fix or resolve the issue. The fix itself, fixing the memory leak, 76%, and then a failover at 35%. It has an estimated duration related to each of those, as well as it's automatically going to generate a change record depending on the option that I choose. So we'll just choose, we can choose fix in this case. So if I click fix, it's offering me the chance here to confirm that. Click fix. It automatically creates the change. It increased the log file size. It uninstalled the hotfix, and then it restarted the cluster. It was, in this case, a database cluster. And it prevented the outage. So again, I'm tracking this here with the change record. It automatically notified the business owners of that application, and it also updated the machine learning or the artificial intelligence results for the next time that this happens, which hopefully doesn't happen again. All right, so now we'll look at the last demo here, which is the customer portal. We saw the ITSM portal before, right, for an internal user. Now this would be an external user. And in this case, Elaine is our customer. She has ordered a new cable modem, and she wants to get that modem set up and make sure that it's working. So she logs into this Lightspeed cable customer portal via her mobile device. You'll notice here she has a notification. And that notification is that she received her new cable modem today. It has the tracking information for that, the fact that it was delivered. Well, now she has it in her hand and she wants to register that modem with the system. So she clicks the register button here. On the modem, she scans the QR code, which automatically inserts the serial number for the modem. And she clicks next, which automatically registers the modem and tells her a little bit about how to set up her internet. So she can click complete registration, and it is done. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I think hopefully my audio didn't cut out too bad there. Dave, can you still hear me okay?
It's fine.
Okay. Okay. Sorry, my headset cut out for a moment. So.
Oh, you're good.
Okay. All right. Good. So here, what we can do so let's assume that Elaine in this case has an issue with her new cable modem. So you'll see that she can come down here, click on her cable box, say I have an issue. Click that button for I have an issue. And of course it froze for me. But anyway, so she can click here, say I have an issue, and automatically open a service request. In addition, through this portal, she can also request a technician to come on site. So for most of us out there who probably have cable or DSL service, instead of us having to call someone for support, now through the ServiceNow customer portal, that can all be automated, as well as the dispatch of a technician to resolve an issue for the customer. All right, so sorry that demo kind of froze up on me here. But we'll go back to the presentation and talk a little bit now about our ASI related add-ons, plugins, and the support that we can provide you with regard to ServiceNow. So ASI has a very core group of SME, subject matter experts, on the ServiceNow platform. In fact, a lot of the experts that we have internally are ex-ServiceNow developers who came over to us from ServiceNow. So we have a lot of innate expertise on the platform, and we can do not just consulting, but also development and extensions to the platform, customizations. We're also a user of ServiceNow, especially the ITSM and ITOM capabilities. So we manage about 8 million endpoints across more than 7,000 customers through ServiceNow. That's ASI. That's our managed service offering, which we leverage ServiceNow for. We're also an authorized reseller and partner for ServiceNow. We can resell to customers who would like to deploy ServiceNow in their own environment. We can also resell to or wholesale out to OEMs who would like to white label ServiceNow for their customers. And then we're designers and developers on the ServiceNow platform. So we've customized it for our own internal use. We've helped other customers customize it for their use, whether they be service providers or just a typical enterprise. And a lot of the services that we provide are listed here on this slide, everything from consulting, design, project management, to even business value assessments. So we can come in, do some discovery with you, as well as help you build an ROI and a business case around ServiceNow. Then we also provide training and ongoing support. So if you're not interested in managing your instance of ServiceNow, we can actually manage that for you as well. One of the things I mentioned earlier was integrations between the ServiceNow platform and external systems. And one of the use cases we looked at was RBS, the Royal Bank of Scotland, who had consolidated 13 different ISTM systems down into the ServiceNow platform. Well, typically what we find is that most customers want to start small with ServiceNow. They don't want to just go out and rip out everything they have and replace it. They typically want to start with one single organization and then grow it from there, and maybe even a small subset of groups within that organization. So e-bonding is our term for synchronizing data between ServiceNow and other platforms, whether they be ITSM platforms or ERP platforms such as SAP or CRMs like Salesforce. So we're able to help you e-bond your ServiceNow instance with other platforms in your environment. And that can allow you to synchronize cases, incidents, as well as assets between the CMDBs. One of the other services or plugins that we've developed for ServiceNow is alarm management. So the alarm management function allows us to receive alarms from network and communications equipment and import those into ServiceNow and create incidents automatically, and instantiate workflows related with those incidents to automatically notify people or resolve issues. ASI has also developed what's known as RMM. It's a remote monitoring and management platform. And our RMM platform is specifically designed to monitor and manage the communications and network environment within an enterprise. So whether that be your UC PBX, your contact center, even your router switching environment, this RMM plugin for ServiceNow will automatically go out and discover all of those components in the environment, create relationships between them, and allow you to start receiving alarms and incidents from them within ServiceNow. So it's a very easy way to first of all, get the data into ServiceNow about your assets in the environment, but also maintain it over time. And we offer two versions of ServiceNow. So if you come to us interested about ServiceNow, we actually offer a cloud, multi-tenant cloud version of ServiceNow, as well as a standalone version. So for a lot of companies out there, if it's a smaller company who may not want to spend the additional people capital dollars to manage their own instance of ServiceNow and stand one up, we have a multi-tenant instance that is very cost efficient and easy to manage. The other instance we have is, of course, the standalone product, which is a complete standalone instance of ServiceNow along with integration to our RMM tools. So the ideal MSP customer, the multi-tenant customer, is that small to mid-sized business who wants to outsource their IT service management. So we can provide that service management capability as well for you. And then the standalone customer is more the larger enterprise who needs to have more control of their data as well as the customizations to the platform. All right. So that's just a little overview of what ServiceNow offers, as well as how we can help with that. I don't know if there are any questions here. I don't see any in the chat. So I don't know, Dave, if you double check that for me, but.
Yeah, actually, there's a couple of them that came in.
Okay.
One of them said, you made a comment that omni-channel and multi-channel aren't the same thing. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, sure. My favorite topic. Yeah. So, yeah. And hopefully this came out over time through the presentation, but multi-channel is the ability for a customer to open a case or contact the agent via the channel of their choice, right? But if I send a text message, for example, to an agent to open a ticket, in a multi-channel environment, that text message may not have any relation to a phone call that I later have to make to another agent in that contact center, right? That could be related to the same problem I'm having, but as far as the contact center is concerned, there's nothing connecting those two interactions. So that's multi-channel, right? I have the ability to submit a request via any channel I want. Omni-channel, on the other hand, is taking that multi-channel concept and on the back end connecting those channels together, so that when the agent gets the phone call, right, that I've later placed, they can see the history of my text message as well and understand that both are related to the same issue, right? And typically that's the power of the platform in terms of ServiceNow, is being able to create workflows that create that holistic experience for the customer, that omni-channel experience. So hopefully that helps a little bit. You probably need a whole seminar or a whole webinar on omni-channel versus multi-channel.
For sure. There's another one. Can I use ServiceNow to automate the administration of my AVAYA systems or to collect the inventory of those systems?
The short answer is yes. However, there are customizations that are required in ServiceNow in order to do that, and that's where ASI can help you. We have plugins, like I mentioned, the RMM plugin already created that go out and are able to collect inventory information about the AVAYA, or it could be Genesis or Cisco even, systems that are out there. So yes, definitely, and that's actually one of the things we really excel at helping our customers do.
And the last one, by the way, if anybody has additional questions, feel free to just type them into the question window on GoToWebinar. But the last question I have is, can I create a ServiceNow incident directly from an IVR app, like from Experience Portal?
Yes. So a ServiceNow incident can be created. It actually can be created via an alarm automatically, or even a workflow. And a workflow can be initiated via a web service. So the short answer is yes. Via web service, you can create an incident, which could be done through an IVR, like Experience Portal.
Okay, and actually another one just came in. Is ServiceNow planning on coming out with a CRM module?
ServiceNow has been very blatant about not wanting to compete in the CRM space. So they look at ServiceNow as a service management platform. They'll integrate with CRMs like Salesforce. They'll integrate with ERP systems like SAP, right, or Epicor, but they do not want to compete in those spaces. So they're very focused on service management and leveraging service management as really the orchestration layer that brings all of those different pieces together to make sure that customers are being serviced in the way that most benefits them.
Perfect. That is the last question.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Awesome. All right. So, yeah, I guess if anyone's interested in a follow-up demo or more details, feel free to reach out to us through your AE or solutions architect, right? SE even. We're happy to help.
And just as a reminder too, that this and all of the Emerging Technologies webinar series are being recorded, and they are posted out to both our YouTube channel, which ultimately syncs into our website at arrowsi.com under resources. So feel free to take a look at those, or if there are any of the other ones that were interesting to you, definitely go check those out and pass those on to any coworkers. And with that, we're done. Russell, thank you very much for your time today. It was good stuff. Appreciate it.
All right, excellent. Yeah, no problem.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you on next Thursday with another session at same time, same bat channel on 11 a.m. Central. We'll see you then. Thanks.